Hello again. Welcome to presentation number 5 of the module Pragmatics. And this time around, we'll be talking about presupposition. In everyday life, we speak on the basis that the listener has some background information. Do you agree? Well, if you didn't know, you have to know it. In everyday life, we speak on the basis that the person we are talking to has some background information. Presupposition is therefore what the speaker assumes is already known by the listener. For instance, the statement "John stopped crying at noon" only makes sense if it is assumed that John was crying just before noon. Many words, phrases, and structures create presuppositions. Can you think of any? Any word or any phrase or any sentence structures that are going to create presuppositions? Well, I'll give you the following task. Your job now is to tell me what each of the following sentences presuppose. Sentence 1. Each of the boys in the room is nice. What does this statement presuppose? Each of the boys in the room is nice. Are you able to tell what this sentence presupposes? Let's move on to the next one. That pig is fat. That pig is fat. What does the statement "that pig is fat" presuppose? Remember, presupposition is what we assume is already known by the person we are talking to. So if we tell somebody, "that pig is fat," what are we assuming that this person we are talking to already knows? I hope you're coming up with suggestions. We'll consider those suggestions in the next slide. Let's go to the next sentence. John is crying again. If somebody says this to you, John is crying again, what is assumed that you already know? Do you have an answer? Well, scribble it somewhere. We'll compare it against mine. Statement 4. It is Bob who stole the chocolate. If somebody is telling you that it is Bob who stole the chocolate, what is this person presupposing? What is this person assuming that you already know? I hope you have scribbled something down. Let us look at the responses now. The first answer should be, there are some boys in the room. That is what is presupposed when it was said that each of the boys in the room is nice. There is no way you can say each of the boys in the room is nice when you do not assume that there are some boys in the room. What was the second statement? The second statement was, that pig is fat. That pig is fat. What is being presupposed here? The presupposition is, that is a pig. When you say that pig is fat, you assume that the hearer knows that that thing you are pointing at is a pig. You assume that the person you are talking to knows that that animal you are pointing at is a pig. Right. Let's go to the third sentence. The third sentence was, John is crying again. John is crying again. What is presupposed in this sentence? What is presupposed is, John has cried before. When you say John is crying again, That statement will only make sense where the hearer knows that John was crying before. Do you agree? You should be able to agree. Are my answers matching with yours? Well, I guess they are. Moving to the fourth and the last sentence. It is Bob who stole the chocolate. It is Bob who stole the chocolate. What is being presupposed here? Look at your answer as I give you mine. When somebody says, it is Bob who stole the chocolate, he or she assumes that the hearer or the listener knows that somebody stole the chocolate. Otherwise, it is not going to make sense. So, the task that we've had is simply the subject matter of presupposition. Presupposition is what is assumed is already known by the hearer. And we said, every day as we speak on the basis that the hearer knows something. Now, presuppositions are often understood in terms of the notion of common ground. That is, a set of propositions which the participants in a conversation mutually assume. How can we use presupposition? How is presupposition used in everyday life? It could be used in several ways. One way presupposition is used is where lawyers and policemen use presupposition to corner wrongdoers or to catch thieves. How can this be? Let's look at the following example. Suppose a CID officer, a detective, suspects that John committed a murder in Mulanje. But then this CID officer has no clear evidence that John traveled to Mulanje. Now, how is he going to know whether John is really the person who killed someone in Mulanje? The CID officer might casually ask John, maybe they meet somewhere, maybe at the market, maybe at a football game, at a stadium. John, how's your trip to Mulanje? Now, this sentence presupposes that the suspect has been there. And so any answer that John will give will provide the crucial evidence that indeed he was recently in Mulanje. And that might help the CID officer to connect the murder in Mulanje and John. So that is one way presupposition is used in everyday life. Other people use presupposition to influence the opinion of the listener. This is very common with journalists. A statement like, the dictator of Malawi is refusing to free the country from oppression. If this one is aired on the radio, what is it presupposing? The statement presupposes that somebody is a dictator and that there is oppression that is going on. Because there is no way, under normal circumstances, one can simply say that the dictator of Malawi is refusing. Why dictator? Did we sit down to agree that the person being referred to is indeed a dictator? No, we did not. But where such a statement is aired on the radio, the dictator of Malawi, it is already presupposing that everybody in Malawi knows that the person being referred to is a dictator. So that is another clever way journalists or the media is going to use presupposition to influence the opinion of the listener. So in this particular case, somebody is going to say, so Mr. So-and-so is a dictator. I didn't know. So you influence the opinion of the listener. So the listener from then onwards is going to look at that particular person as a dictator. I hope you are able to understand presupposition this far. Presuppositions are also used to mislead people. Politicians do this a lot. Let us look at this particular sentence, supposedly said by a politician. Uyakadzango winaso tidzalowa mutengo. In English, should this one win again, we shall enter into the bush. Now, what does this politician mean when he says uyakadzango winaso tidzalowa mutengo? What meaning are you getting from this? Well, there may be two meanings here. Uyakadzango winaso Tidzalowa mutengo would mean a war. You're going to the bush to start a fight. In some instances, this might not mean a war at all. This might mean literally, should this one win again, I'll run away into the bushes and maybe live there and maybe die there. So, as we're saying, this could mean bloodshed, as in war, or kulowa ntengo might also mean running mad, or kulowa ntengo might mean literally running away into the bushes to stay there forever. This is where we end the presentation on presupposition. The critical assumption that I'm going to have is that you are able to know what presupposition is, you are able to know instances of presupposition, and that you should be able to explain the uses of presupposition. Thank you. Our next presentation will be on conversational implicature and the cooperative principle.